Welcome to the channel. This is Jay Mancini, where we keep the wheels rolling and the cash flowing. And guys, we'll be getting the messages, we'll be getting the DMs, the comments. And one thing I noticed, guys, it seems like a lot of you are wondering, is the dump truck business right for me? So today, guys, is the dump truck biz for you? And with this video, guys, hopefully we can answer some of your questions. We're going to be going through the ups and the downs. So let's dive in. By the way, guys, this video was also inspired by a good friend of mine named Chewy. And while I was, coming up with this information, I was thinking about my friend Chewy, and I remember how Chewy had been in the dump truck business for about 15 years. And then one day he says, "Hey, Jay, I'm done." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I sold my dump truck. I'm going to go work with somebody." And I mean, "What do you mean work with somebody?" He says, "Well, I got a job." I said, "Chewy, after 15 years of being an owner operator, are you sure that's the right thing?" He said, "Yeah, you know what? I got a job." And it was actually working for the city. So he goes, "Hey, you know what? It's going to be a laid back job. I'm going to have like a 9 to 5. I'm going to have a salary. I don't have to worry about, A, Z, B, and all these other things that are going to happen, with the dump truck business." So he says to me, "You know what? I'd rather go work this 9 to 5, give it a try, make sure I have a set salary." And that was pretty much it. Well, coming to find out, fast forward, guys, a few months ago, guess what? Chewy quit his job at the city, and now he's back in the dump truck business. So while I was coming up with this information, I was thinking about Chewy, so I couldn't help to say, but this video was also inspired by him, my good friend Chewy. So guys, let's dive in. Here are the ups and downs. Guys, first thing, freedom and flexibility. This is the biggest upside in my book. Freedom and flexibility, guys, what it has allowed for me to do. Well, guys, there's a lot of things, right? But this is a huge upside for me. Well, let me just tell you guys, on a personal note, I've been able to create my own schedule. One of the things that I can tell you right off the bat, guys, is by being able to create my own schedule, guys, I have the flexibility, and I'm just going to give you several examples here, right? If, for example, my family says, "Hey, we have an event, one of my kids has to go and they have a sporting event," I have the flexibility, guys, to actually take off for that day or take off for those few hours and be able to attend my kids' sporting event. If something comes up, guys, and let's say an emergency, I don't have to clock in, guys, right? So I have the flexibility to be able to have my own schedule, be able to coordinate my own things. Now, even for you, okay, if you start off with just one truck, and let's say you're going to be an owner-operator, okay, even as an owner-operator, you're still your own boss. This is part of freedom and flexibility. You can call the shot and say, "Hey, you know what? Tomorrow, I can't go to work." Why? Well, my son has a 7 a.m. meet the dad or meet the parents at school. Or my son, you know what? He's going to go off to college now, and I want to spend, the next few days with him. These are things that to me are priceless. The freedom and the flexibility, not necessarily having to clock in and clock out. Of course, we're still going to put in the hours, but what I'm saying is you have your own schedule. It's all at the top, right? It's all where you want to be. So if you decide, "Hey, I'm only going to work 4 days this week, but I want to take Friday off," then guess what? You can take Fridays off, right? Because at the end of the day, even if you only own one truck or you own multiple trucks, you have the freedom and the flexibility to have your own schedule. One example that I like to give you guys is something that is going on right now that we're approaching the holidays. A lot of the owner operators, what they're doing coming up for Christmas, guys, is they're actually taking 2 and 3 weeks off. Yes, 2 to 3 weeks off. Now, let me tell you guys, I'm pretty sure if you were working at a job or a corporate office or whatever job you may have that requires for you to be able to clock in and clock out, I don't think they would probably let you take 2 or 3 weeks off, right? So what I'm saying is, again, you have the freedom, you have the flexibility to call those shots. You are your own boss at the end of the day. Now, of course, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with that, but at the end of the day, you're still your own boss. And like these guys here, hey, Christmas time is coming up. And guys, they're taking off the next 2, 3 weeks around Christmas. They're wanting to spend that time with their family, okay? And they can do that. Why? Because the last 10 or 11 months of the year, they've been working, they've been putting in the work. So now they've saved up some money, and now they can afford to take 2, 3 weeks off without having to go to work. And again, they have the flexibility to do that because at the end of the day, they're their own boss. Number 2, guys, get paid what you're worth. Now, guys, what do I mean by get paid what you're worth? A lot of the things that I hear from some of my friends and other people, right, is that they're not making enough money wherever it is that they're working, whatever job they may have or even career, right? And sometimes they hear, man, dump truck guys, man, y'all make a lot of money. Well, again, they don't know the full side of it. They don't know all the responsibilities there is to having or being in the dump truck business, right? But you do get to make the choice to get paid what you're worth. And what do I mean by that? When you first start off, just like anything else, guys, you may not make a lot of money, but you know what happens once you get to learn the business, once you get to know the business, once you get to make those connections and make those contacts, okay, and get to truly know the business, well, you're gonna start earning money, right? You're gonna start earning what I call multiple six figures. Eventually, if you get to 2 trucks or 3 trucks, there's no doubt you can have 6 figures in the dump truck business. Not to mention, guys, okay, if you decide that, hey, you know what? Not only do I want to own 2, 3 dump trucks or multiple dump trucks, but also I want to find work or I want to become a broker and also I want to hire multiple trucks. Well, now, not only do you have a few trucks, but now you're also hiring multiple trucks. So now you're securing work for your trucks. You're also hiring other individuals, right? So there's really no limit to how much money you can make. But just like anything else, you got to put in the work, right? You got to go out there and do your due diligence. And of course, that's not going to happen right at the beginning. But where I'm going with this, guys, is you can make as much money as you want in the dump truck business. Now, guys, on a personal note, I know when I started in the dump truck business, to be very transparent with you guys, I really wanted to just make enough money to pay my bills. So when I first started, guys, I was actually just trying to make it. And of course, I was being a student of the game. I was trying to learn the business. But really, I was like, you know what? If I can make enough money to pay my bills, I'm happy, right? So just to tell you guys that that's where I was when I first started. Well, eventually, after the first couple of years, as I started to kind of learn the process and learn the business and know how the dump truck business works and the ins and the outs, right? And I started to build those connections and I started to be able to get hired on by different and multiple contractors. Well, then I started to understand, well, wait a minute, okay, I've got several guys now working, but if I can get 5, 6, 9, 10 guys out there working, why can't we give work to 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50 guys, right? So one of the things, guys, is when you're on the other side, you really don't get to see everything because, of course, if you're brand new, you're just learning the business. But once you start to learn the business and you start to understand things and you start to see there's people out there that are hiring 10 trucks, 20 trucks. And in my case, when I started to see and meet guys that were hiring 40 and 50 trucks every day, that expanded my vision, right? And then I understood, okay, well, should I own trucks? Should I own more trucks? Or should I just hire trucks, right? That's all up to you. But where I'm going with this is I went from just being able to pay my bills to eventually having a 7-figure business. So guys, once again, you get to decide on how much you're worth. Number 3, guys, fireproof. Guys, what do I mean by fireproof? Fireproof, literally, you're fireproof. Yes, that means no one can fire you. Well, except for one person, your customer. Your customer can fire you. But other than that, guys, no one else can fire you, right? So when you're not clocking in or clocking out, there's no one there to fire you, right? So this is a great thing, okay? Especially if you're one of the guys that is dedicated, if you're one of the guys that is out there and saying, hey, you know what, I want to serve people and I want to be able to provide the best service that I can, whether I'm just a single owner operator or whether I plan to own multiple trucks, right? So not being able to be fired is actually a great thing. Now, what it does at the same time, guys, is not being able to be fired. This also gives you, for me on a personal level, gives a motivation, right? This is inspiring to know, hey, you know what? There's only one guy that can fire me, and that's my customer. But guess what? At the end of the day, the customer truly is the one that's putting food on your table. So this is a great thing. And I think that is a huge upside, being fireproof. You get to determine whether you fire yourself or whether your customer fires you. Now, it's all up to you at the end of the day to add more customers or clients, right? Or, like I always say, make more connections, build a bigger network. And that's why being fireproof, I think, is the key. Number 4, guys, creativity. Why is creativity so important, guys? Well, the name says it, guys. You get to be creative. You get to decide on the decisions you're going to make. You get to decide on whether you want to add new clients, on whether you want to go ahead and learn more about the dump truck business. Let's just say you're a dump truck owner operator. Well, now, you know what? I want to get creative. I want to also learn how to sell materials. I want to learn more about, how do you sell gravel? How do you sell sand? And, how do you get in the asphalt business? And this is so important. And this is one thing that you may be also limited to when you're working for somebody else or, what I call in a 9-to-5 job. So not only do you get to make your own decisions, but most importantly, you get to get creative, right? You get to decide what you want to do. You get to call your shots, right? And there's no one there to tell you anything about it. And that's what's so great about it, right? Now, being creative, guys, for me is huge and it's important because I get to try out different things. And eventually I'm going to find, okay, and if this is what works best for me, then you know what? We continue to do that. We continue to implement those things and the business continues to grow. But most importantly, this is another way of being creative, right? Me sitting here doing these videos and hopefully helping you guys out. This is another way of being creative. So just to show you guys, being creative is huge. And this is a reason why it's a big upside whenever you're in the dump truck business. Number 5, guys, contribution. So guys, when you're in the dump truck business, you're contributing to our infrastructure system. Now, the way I see it, that's definitely a contribution, right? Everybody needs new roads. Everybody needs new streets. So in the dump truck business, we contribute to the infrastructure of this country. So I believe that contribution is a huge thing. Another thing, guys, is if you're an individual that says, you know what, Jay, I'm going to start as an owner operator, but eventually I want to be able to get more jobs or I want to be able to hire other guys. Well, this is also a way of contributing, right? You hiring other owner operators and maybe even hiring your friends, okay, that are in the dump truck business, well, you're contributing, right? Why? Because you're hiring them. So now what are you doing? You're also creating more jobs. You're creating more opportunities for them and for yourself. So it's a win-win situation. Another way of contributing, in my case here, guys, being able to spend this time, being able to record this and being able to create this content, right? And being able to pass this on to you guys. This is another way of contributing. And you can do the same, right? You learn the dump truck business, you can bring on your brother or your cousin or your nephew, whoever may be, a friend, and you can show them the business as well. And you never know, they may like the business just as much as you do, right? So this is another way you get to contribute. And guys, that is the reason why contribution is definitely an upside in the dump truck business. All right, guys, so we're going on to the downside. And here are the 5 downsides to the dump truck business. Number 1, guys, economic downturns. Now, what are economic downturns? Well, guys, this actually really happens in every business, right? And it can happen to everyone, right? What does this mean? This means the following, guys. If for whatever reason, the economy, sinks, or all of a sudden everyone's losing jobs, right? Wall Street, takes a big hit, different things that can impact the economy. Well, probably they're going to also impact the dump truck business. Why, guys? Because at the end of the day, we are in construction when you're in the dump truck business. So if construction gets impacted by the downturn, then more than likely the dump truck business will also feel the impact. So this is something that I like to call external factors. Just keep that in mind, all right? This might not have anything to do with you. So you don't necessarily need to feel bad. You just need to know that what I'm telling you could possibly happen, right? If the economy goes down, well, there's a high probability construction business may go down, and then in return, the dump truck business may also take a hit. So that's the one thing you need to keep in mind. Number 2, guys, high operating costs. Now, high operating costs are also somewhat related to the economic downturn. Well, as you guys probably already know, and you see the news, well, if the economy starts to go down, sometimes prices start to go up, and then we get into what's called inflation, right? So as prices go up, you may spend more money in fuel, you may spend more money in, tires, brakes, whatever it is, right? Anything that has to do with maintenance related to your dump truck, you may end up spending more money, right? So sometimes that can also affect wages. Wages may just stagger, but cost goes up. And so ultimately that could hurt your bottom line, which is your pocket. Number 3, guys, weather permitting and seasonal. I get a lot of questions about this, guys. Weather permitting and seasonal. Well, what I mean by weather permitting, guys, well, if it rains, guys, and you probably already know this, yes, the dump trucks usually don't work. So unfortunately, when we have rain, the job sites, you can't get in, you can't get out. So also some of our friends up north, I've been hearing, it's very seasonal, meaning, when the winter time comes or there's heavy snow, what do? Jay, hey, it snows up here, man. What should I do? Well, to be very sincere and transparent with you, I live down here in Texas, so I truly couldn't tell you what else to do up there with your actual dump truck. But the one thing I can tell you is this, and I tell this to my guys now, whether they work for me, whether they're owner operators, regardless, I always tell them, I say, save your money. And I know you probably heard that before, right? But I tell them, make sure that when you are working and when the wheels are rolling, and like I say, and the cash is flowing, well, make sure you stick to that. And guys, keep that work coming. And another thing I tell them is, hey, if you get an offer to say, hey, you know what, can you work nights? Don't be afraid to maybe go out there and work a few nights. Make that extra money. Make sure you save that money, right? And put it aside. And as you hear people say, oh, I'm putting money aside for a rainy day. Literally, that's what you're going to do in the dump truck business, right? And it may be just more than a day. If it's seasonal and you're up north, it may be a few months. Now, again, I'm here in Texas, so I don't really know how long that may be for you. But make sure that you save your money, okay? Make sure you allocate those funds. Make sure that you know how you're going to spend your money and be prepared. If you already know that you're not going to work January, February, or March or December, make sure you're prepared and ahead of the game, right? And there's several other things I'm sure that you can find to do in your city to make sure that you're prepared and make sure you're covered for those months. But the one thing I can tell you is, guys, prepare yourself, save your money, and even if you're not affected by the weather, I will say this. Some of my friends out on the West Coast, California and Arizona, they say, Jay, we're working, man. I love it, guys. You know what? Kudos to you. But even you guys, save your money because you never know when you could have that economic downturn. So it's going to be up to you and how you manage your money. Number 4, guys, corporate benefits. And what I like to say is this. What does that mean? No corporate benefits, guys. Why? You already know when you're your own boss, guys, there is no corporate, right? You are the corporate, right? You are the man. You are the businessman, right? So, hey, sorry to tell you, but you're not going to have any benefits. And this kind of goes back to the story of my friend Chewy, right? He moved on thinking, hey, Jay, 15 years in the business. This guy was making 6 figures with one truck for 15 years straight. But he figured the following, well, my house is paid off for, my kids are off to college. I don't want to get up at 5, 6 in the morning every day, and I don't blame him, and I don't want to work till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Again, I don't blame him. So he figured, you know what, it must be greener on the other side. I got a job offered with the city. I'm going to go work a 9 to 5, literally, and I'm going to get a salary. I'm going to get a 401k and benefits, and everything's going to be all peachy, as they say, right? Well, he was there for 2 years, and guess what? My friend Chewy's back in the dump truck business. He bought a dump truck after selling the one he had before, and now he's back in the dump truck business. Well, you're probably asking yourself, well, why would he do that? Well, guys, here's the thing. This goes back to the upsides. Freedom and flexibility. Getting paid what you're worth. Fireproof. Being creative. Contributing. He wasn't feeling like he was getting either one of these 5 things. So how big are these for you? Okay? If those 5 things are big, or even if 1 or 2 of these are big for you, then you need to ask yourself that question, right? Are corporate benefits worth it? Yeah. He gave up that 401k, but here's the deal. The thing is this, guys, going back to what I said earlier, saving your money. Yes, you're going to have to pay health insurance out of your pocket, okay? You're going to have to save your money. You're going to have to create your own Roth IRA, meaning your own savings account, right? In simple terms. But these are things that you're going to give and take, right? Are these things worth it? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Number 5, guys, work ethic. Work ethic, guys. I will tell you this. No matter what business you're in, it doesn't even have to be the dump truck business. It can be any business, okay? Do you have the work ethic? Well, I'm going to be honest, guys. If you don't have the work ethic, you're probably not going to make it in the dump truck business. You just heard me say the story about Chewy getting up at 5 in the morning. Most jobs start around 7 a.m. I understand, 15 years, he got tired of it. I get it. Trust me, okay? But you got to have the work ethic, right? And if you got to get up at 5 to be at the job by 7, or you got to get up at 4:30, those are part of the things that you have to do, right? And again, some of these jobs, they're going on till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Sometimes some jobs are up till 6 or 7, right? So at the beginning, when you first start, you have to already know and keep this in mind. Do I have the work ethic that it's going to take to start this business, right? Not only for the amount of hours you're going to put in, but also there's other things that you're going to have to do, right? Especially when you're starting off, right? Like being a student of the game, learning the business, building a network. And you already know, because we have a lot of videos that talks about all those things, right? But at the end of the day, do you have the work ethic? And if you do, then great. But if you're questioning yourself, then you may need to make sure you really think about it. Overall, guys, if you ask me, well, you probably already know what I'm going to say. But guys, for me, freedom, flexibility, I get to make as much money as I want to make. I get to improve every day. I get to create new things. This ultimately allows me to become a better individual. But most importantly, guys, I get to be here, spend this time to make these videos for you, which ultimately leads to me being able to contribute to society and hopefully contribute to your new journey in the dump truck business, or at least answer any questions that you may have about the dump truck business. With that being said, guys, you already know, we keep the wheels rolling and the cash flowing. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.